Welcome to the Big Biz Show. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Big Biz Show. We're live inside the Loft 100 studios here in Southern California. Oh, Southern California, you might ask? Yes. This is where we say, no, it's not. It's not what we say. Every time you see somebody new, that's the Jay Tater Trio. Costa, Mary, Godwin, and Sully. Hey, buddy.
Were you born here?
Yes, I was.
In San Diego.
Yep.
I was
Native.
here, born and raised.
So was I.
So
was James.
Brian, too? What about you, Trace?
Trace, you?
No, I was born in Michigan.
Oh.
Ferner.
I know.
He's a Ferner.
Burner.
Boy, hallelujah, shutdown's over. Here's Howie Font to talk about that. Government shutdown ended yesterday, late.
Yes.
Or I should say.
But how long is it going to take to bounce back? Is that what Howie's going to
Well,
tell us?
hey, Howie, did they kick the can down the road a few months like they normally do? Just because this is wag the dog to me. I think everyone sort of knows it's going to end and just miraculously ends right before Thanksgiving, because you know if it didn't end before Thanksgiving, it was going to go till December 31st, right? So talk about this a little bit, because
yeah, I mean, there's a reason these things haven't gone that long, to be fair, and I think that this went longer than anyone wanted it to, and there are going to be real consequences still. I mean, you have air traffic controllers that didn't get paid for 40 days that we're just on the brink. The Trump administration put out via tweet or truth or whatever that they want to pay those guys $10K, but also they cannot take off because a lot of these guys want to now stop doing double shifts and they want some people that quit to come back. So we could still see some delays, and I think there is permanent damage from too long of a shutdown that was longer than people expected.
Well, so there was almost 1 million federal workers, about 900,000 federal workers furloughed. Those guys are all coming back now?
Yep, everyone's coming back. Everyone will get back pay. It takes a couple of months for the government to sort through that. That's another thing. And there's work that needs to be done on a monthly basis or so. That's just, we're not going to have, there's a bunch of data that's always collected that wasn't collected in October. We'll never have it, so.
Yeah. And Howie, one of those things that I think, what's her name, the White House spokes, Carolyn Levitt, is that her last name?
Yeah.
She said something about it's either the jobs number or the inflation number or something won't be coming out.
Both. Yeah, we probably won't get either of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
mean, these are important indicators for the market, and
Little bit.
ironically.
Well, but keep in mind, Howie, because this was the longest. The last government shutdown, if I'm not mistaken, was 35 days. This one was 43, 44 days, the longest in history. But it's the aftermath effects. I mean, look, you're going to see a bump in the market. You're going to see a little Santa Claus rally before Santa Claus comes, like we always do. So we're going to see a little spike. We'll see some volatility. See another spike at the end of the year. Then we'll see tax loss selling. That's what's going to happen in the stock market for the next 5 weeks. However, the economic impact is long-lasting and not to the positive side, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I gave you guys some estimates about some of the damage. That we have a 27, I think, $1 trillion economy. I could be a little low on that number, but we lost about 15 billion a week during this shutdown, as far as annual GDP. So small in the grand scheme of things, but needless when you see what actually.
That just tells
happened.
you, though.
None of this needed to happen. It was just.
That just tells you how much of our economy is government people.
Well, that is true, by the way. I mean, government spending.
If you think about the billions, if that's how much money we lost in productivity and gross domestic product, which is the report card of our economy, if we lost 15 billion per week in GDP because of a government shutdown, doesn't that tell you a much bigger picture? How much money the government is taking and frankly contributing to GDP? But I would love to know the percentage number of all workers that work for the government. I think it's up to almost 20% now in this country.
Yeah, I think if you take the number of people in the government that work for the government and the number of people that are paid via government contracts,
Right.
It's something like, I want to say the numbers in the mid 40s as far as the the annualized income of people or the annualized business that happens in the country. So it's a huge. I mean, let's not underestimate the federal government. It's the largest organization on the planet.
It's true. You know, the other thing too, what's interesting is, you think about, for example, when you see a Hollywood movie strike, you don't think about the deli on the corner that feeds all the people at lunchtime,
right?
Or the food trucks, or all the ancillary economies, the dry cleaners around there. Not just the movie stars, but the people that work in the businesses. It's really cyclical. Even when they built Staples Center in the middle of a really low-income neighborhood in Los Angeles. If you take concentric circles outside, property values have come up because of that. Same thing here, though, with the airport shutdowns. One thing people don't realize is you had air traffic controllers that were working 15-hour days. So now, just because airlines are back, you got airline controller fatigue, right, Howie? I mean, it's not going to be overnight that the airline, right? That's not going to be fixed overnight. And then you got backlog and
what about all the flights that were canceled?
You got backlogged.
Yeah.
You got backlogged, and you've got, how's the morale with the air traffic workers over there? I mean,
thank God that's not a stressful job.
I heard two things. I heard this is coming from their union rep, so take that with a grain of salt. But I saw a CNBC interview where they said, they have a long lead time on their training program, and a bunch of the incoming trainee air traffic controllers are saying, this isn't the career I want. No, no, thank you. This can happen randomly. I'm not going to deal with not getting paid for 2 months. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
We lost some new people.
How confident are you that the government is going to get the budget thing figured out so there's not a shutdown, so we don't look at this again? Because I don't know what the deadline is for having a balanced budget again, but I don't think it's again. I don't think it's next December. I think it's got to be sometime in the first or second quarter, correct?
It's in January.
Yeah. Okay. So we kicked out there on 7 weeks. It's a 7-week deal. So just like many of us have learned so much from the Great Recession, including the mortgage industry, how much did government learn from this one? Anything at all, you think? Or do you think things will be different come January?
No, I think this was political haggling that just couldn't get there. I think you could learn a lot about negotiation and payoff tables and how to get to yes from watching this or from maybe dissecting this. But I think some wrong moves were made and people were stuck in their positions, and it does do damage to the economy is kind of my point today. And then ironically, we talked about the shutdown the last few weeks and how the economy the market was just kind of ignoring it. Now we have the market finally thinking about all of the money they're spending on AI, and that's actually bringing the market down. So for different reasons than the market's coming, than the shutdown coming back, the market's down.
Well, here's the good news. Things are not as bad as you think. They were the last time the country was not in debt was under Andrew Jackson, which I believe was 1835. So we've been in debt the whole time. So this is not a new thing. So it's not horrible. Hey, I got 30 seconds here. Are you in agreement with me that we see a bump here in the market, then some volatility, then we'll see a Santa Claus rally, then we, of course, every year we get the tax loss selling? Or do you think it's going to be blue skies from here?
No, I think all those things happen. I just wonder if in a year with such large gains, especially in such few companies, the Mag 7, Nvidia, all that, I think we see tax loss harvesting a little bit earlier. We're at 6,800 on the S&P. I think we could go to 7,000 by the end of the year. A little above 7,000 by the end of the year is reasonable. So we've got a little bit more to go, but there's also going to be that tax loss harvesting selling.
You either feel smarter after Howie or less than. I can't decide.
I feel smarter, but I also get really depressed sometimes.
Thanks, buddy.
Howie Font, Big Biz Show market analyst. Always great to have him along. Always great to have you as well. Keep it right here. Much more to come with the Big Biz Show. Do not go anywhere. Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyentgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big B Show continues live from the Loft 100 studios here in sunny Southern California. Hope you guys are having a great day. We certainly are. That is the Day Trader Trio. Back here at the bar, of course, it is Costa, it is Mary, and it is Sully.
Talk about our next guest.
Jason Tardio is the president and chief operating officer of Immunic Therapeutics. Their ticker symbol, IMUX, and we are so glad to have him back.
Every time I use the word MS, I get a bunch of email. My mom's got MS, and one of my daughters has MS. And every time we talk about MS, you look at, we have 80 million TV homes. We're in 175 countries, and all the ships at sea and on several networks. And I got to tell you, this is one of those diseases that people are not afraid to talk about it because they want to know, what the next. My mom has one form of MS. My daughter has another form of MS. My mom takes oral medication. My daughter does infusions twice a year, and my daughter has just a regular. She got it young enough to have a regular life. But you guys are really changing the face, of the sort of the biggest leaps and gains on a disease that's been around for a while. Talk about what you guys do.
So at Immunic Therapeutics, we develop innovative small molecule therapies to address unmet needs within chronic inflammatory and autoimmune related diseases. And our most advanced asset is a medicine called vidofludimus calcium that's currently in phase 3 development for relapsing forms of multiple sclerosis. And earlier this year, we reported results with that same asset in a phase 2 study in progressive forms of multiple sclerosis. So that's our lead product, and we're quite excited about what we have.
Yeah, if you walk us through how the therapy works with a certain patient, because it's criteria specific to a certain type of MS, or is it all MS overreaching, or could it be?
We're trying to address the full spectrum of multiple sclerosis. So multiple sclerosis, there's a couple different subtypes of multiple sclerosis. You have relapsing forms of MS, which accounts for about 75% of all diagnosed cases of the disease. And then you have two subtypes of progressive forms of multiple sclerosis. The first of which is called secondary progressive multiple sclerosis. That accounts for about 15% of the diagnosed population. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is primary progressive multiple sclerosis, and that accounts for about 10% of the MS diagnosed population. And MS is a disease of both neuroinflammation and neurodegeneration. And so ideally you want a medicine that's a potent anti-inflammatory medicine to address the neuroinflammation, but you also need a medicine that's neuroprotective in nature to address the neurodegenerative component of the disease. And there's 20 or so medicines available today. All of them address the inflammatory aspect of the disease, but there's really no medicine today truly acting as a real neuroprotective medicine. And vidofludimus calcium will do just that. It is an inhibitor of an enzyme called DHODH, which is a known, proven mechanistic approach to address inflammation. And it's the first and only medicine in development that activates a target called NER1, which we know will provide neuroprotective benefits. So our hope with vidofludimus is that it will be a tablet taken once a day that can address the full spectrum of the disease.
That is quality of life changing. I mean, really, obviously not just treating a disease, but when your quality of life to the point where you're not sitting and doing infusions for 6 hours at a time, you're able to pill in your pocket therapy, so to speak. That is as important, don't you think, Jason?
Without a doubt. I mean, remember, multiple sclerosis is a chronic disease. And so individuals diagnosed with this disease need to take medicine for the remainder of their life. And adherence and compliance to medicines is a concern. And patients just like the convenience of being able to take a tablet once a day at home. And so we hope to offer a very unique and innovative approach for individuals living with the disease.
Jason Tardio, President and COO, Immunic Therapeutics. Their ticker symbol is IMUX.
Hey, Jason, you mentioned relapsing MS. It sounded like that was the highest percentage of people that are afflicted with MS. Now, is that exactly what it sounds like, where you have flare-ups and then maybe it's under control and then it comes back again and maybe worse, and so you're constantly trying to monitor it? And could your therapy, vitafludimus calcium, did I say that right?
Very good.
You would take it whether you're a relapse or not, and just kind of steady keeping it in check.
Correct. So relapsing forms of the multiple sclerosis is exactly how you described it. Individuals have inflammatory disease, and this is hallmarked by these constant flare-ups that the patients experience. And when they have these flare-ups, there's a number of different symptoms that they can experience: upper or lower limb weakness, bowel and bladder dysfunction, cognitive dysfunction. And ultimately, when they have relapses, sometimes patients fully recover, but most times they do not. And over time, you get this accumulation of disability that's called relapse-associated worsening. And so what we strive to do with vitafludimus calcium is to prevent the relapses, to prevent new lesions that you can see on MRI, and ultimately to prevent a disability accumulation. Now, on the progressive side, it's a little bit different. Patients with progressive multiple sclerosis don't have these flare-ups. In the secondary progressive forms, they have advanced in their disease, in which they're no longer having relapses and they purely just have cognitive and physical decline. And in primary progressive multiple sclerosis, these patients were never diagnosed with relapses. They were just diagnosed with a form of the disease in which there's this constant slippery slope of disability accumulation.
Hey, Jason, we're up against the clock here, but I want to have you on again next week, and I'll tell you why. Because what you're doing is differentiating your drug in this MS market from anybody else. And I think if you look at the arc of the story with the FDA and everything else, you guys are further along towards commercialization than almost anyone. I want to spend some time talking about that. In the meantime, what's it look like for you guys for the next, what do we got, 6 weeks left in the year or something like that? Is it still beating the drum, or what are you looking forward to most here for the next for the rest of this year and the next 6 months?
Well, this was a very, very successful year for the company. We fully enrolled our phase 3 program in relapsing MS, the ENSURE trials, and we expect readout from those trials in about 1 year, Q4 of 2026. We also reported positive phase 2 data in CALIBR study in progressive MS. So it's been a very exciting year, and we look forward to reading out additional data next year to hopefully help patients and individuals living with multiple sclerosis.
Good stuff. He is Jason Tardio, the President and Chief Operating Officer of Immunic Therapeutics.
And he's coming back next week because we got more to talk about.
Yeah.
You made the invite public. It's out over the air. He has to come back. Ticker symbol is IMUX.
Welcome to Loft 100 Studios, San Diego's Emmy Award-winning production studio, creative hub, and unique private or corporate event space. Host your next corporate or special event in our spacious main room. Utilize a green screen or our 3 million LED lights video wall to create the newest upcoming sales video, or record that podcast or YouTube show that you've been wanting to make happen. Take your creative endeavor to the next level at Loft 100 Studios. Scan the QR code or go to loft100studios.com to book a tour.
And we are live inside those Loft 100 studios here in Southern California. Glad you're along for the ride. That is the insanely talented Day Trader Trio up on stage. Back here at the bar, it is Costa, it's Marybert Godwin, it's Sully, and a very, very special guest today, Father Tim Storey, with us here in studio.
He is the comeback coach. He hosts the podcast Miracle Mentality. He also spoken in 85 countries, shared the stages with guys like Grant Cardone and Deepak Chopra. And of course, Marybert Godwin, who's now getting the keynote speaking business. Based upon your questions, you should
congratulations.
After this conversation, I'm going to.
Yeah. I mean, you're a culture influencer. And your thought leader is easy to, those are, a thought leader is like, let's pivot this, but cultural influencer, I think, is what we can call you. I think it's probably.
I like that. I'll take that.
I think you should, because I think that's what explains really what you do, and the other piece of this is your philosophy of upgrading your life, right? I mean, that's a really interesting thing that we don't think about enough.
Can I tell you where I get that from?
Yeah.
So I think that most people are stuck in what I call an almost life. Like their job is almost good. Their children are almost okay. Almost means not quite nearly. Most means there's a ceiling. So if we let go a helium balloon right here, it would hit this high ceiling, but it would stop. But
I think it hit the disco ball first, Tim. But
it would hit the disco ball and stop. But the question is, like, who put the ceiling there? So you have the almost, you have the most, but then you have the utmost, which is to break the ceiling.
Break it.
And I think that it's innate in all of us, all four of us, to break the doggone ceiling, but somehow somebody told us we have to just stop at the ceiling.
It's self-imposed ceilings, right?
100%.
Because we have fears or whatever we may have to put them there. Now, I want to ask you, if I may, it sounded like some of the names you dropped, there was a couple through lines, which is maybe addiction and or mental health issues with some of the people that you, celebrities you named. Do you see that as a thread? And, you know, I'm almost listening to you because I'm in recovery and I hear some of the tenets that I practice in what you're saying. And I love that you're bringing it to the masses because a lot of people don't necessarily have a 12-step program, but what you're saying is it's good for everybody, no matter what your situation
100%,
is, right?
yeah, because there's different buckets of your life.
Yep.
There's your mindset, there's your spiritual life, your physical life, your job or career, your financial, your family, your social. So I deal with all those.
Yep.
So if I'm talking to a Tom Hanks, I'm not talking to Tom Hanks about addiction. That's not what his problem is.
Right.
But I am talking to him about alignment to his assignment and keeping him on the yellow brick road. So if I'm talking to Oprah Winfrey, same thing. I'm not talking to her about addiction. I'm talking to her about what she wants to do at this stage of her life. So I've been fortunate. You know, my office has been in Beverly Hills for almost 3 decades. And so I work with people from all walks of life, and addiction is just one of them. But part of it is just keeping people focused.
And keeping them out of their own way. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
you,
it's okay.
I mean, it's the same kind of principle as you got to take ownership, right?
He's going to get me off my Funyun addiction.
Yes, right.
I don't want you to get off.
Okay. Tim Storey, so happy to have him in studio with us. Leadwithlove.net is the website. Also, Tim Storey, STOREY.com.
I'm fond of saying when you just sort of take accountability for it, then you're in recognition jail. You've got to sort of trace it back. I mean, the first piece of the problem is recognize you have it. Okay, great. I have a problem. Now I suck. It's way more than that, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise you get into that thing called stinking thinking, and you get into the thing called I've met the enemy and it is me.
Yes.
You need to kind of sort of trace those things back and ask the whys sometimes. Is that sort of the philosophy?
100%. So what you need is you need an outside perspective. So as you know, many times when you are going through problems, you go what I call singular. Everything's singular. So let's say if you're in a divorce mode, you've gone singular in that divorce mode. I need somebody from the outside, so I need a power with partnership who has a different perspective than the one that I am seeing. So that is the truth.
You ever walk around and something's bugging you and you don't know what's bugging you?
Yep.
I do this thing where it's the F's, you know, faith, family, finances, friends, and you have a very similar thing. It's really about kind of getting to the core problem, not just wallowing in the fact that something's wrong, correct? Because we get complacent, I guess. I mean, we get used. Look at. I'll give you a business example. We're paying how we must be paying per gallon? $4.50. Remember when we were aghast at paying $3? We got used to it.
Of course, yeah.
We get used to things, even the most ridiculous things that you would never get used to. Is that sort of a piece of the mentality that we got to break?
No doubt about it, because we see so many things out there. Because before, you know, when I was coming up, there was not TikTok, there was not Instagram, Facebook, and so many people are talking about being on their grind, on the grind. I'm on my grind. I beat the sun up. I don't go at life that way. I don't chase dreams. I cooperate with what I believe God has said to me. Big difference. I'm not a chaser. So all the things that keep happening for me, all the businesses that I do run, which is about 7, I am not a guy who's chasing anything. I am simply cooperating with what I think has been spoken over my life.
So one of the things, a Sullyism, is cash flow is more important than your mother, more important than your mother in business. And people will become exhausted as entrepreneurs to make sure they have, and look at if you know, I would rather have you embrace the vice of greed than ego in terms of business. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, you'd better put business in front of your own personality. But don't you think that just by nature of the chasing of the revenue, the chasing of the money in the bank, puts entrepreneurs at a disadvantage?
It does, because you also will lose sight of what is the reason? So motive is a big thing. Because so many people start off with good motives of, I'm going to take care of my family, right? Or I'm doing this to help people. But then they get into the competitive side of seeing what other people are doing.
And social media is horrible at making you compare.
100%.
This is what you don't have.
You never see anybody put, hey, gained 30 pounds this week and I filed bankruptcy.
Well,
you never see that. Turned 86 today, I'm only 30. You never see that
You
stuff.
talk a little bit about how community is important, essential to it. And, even entrepreneurs probably feel isolated. People watching social media, it's supposed to bring people together, but they feel isolated watching. That's not me. Talk about the sense of community, how it in the world of business and in person.
Okay, so this is so good. So I literally roll with a guy named Peter Block, who is like the guy of community. And he talks about the essential side of community because there has to be a sense of belonging. It's a place where you can be understood.
Yeah.
It's a place where you can be enlightened. And that's why I have my own community that you keep mentioning called Lead with Love. So as you guys have said, I've been to 82 countries of the world. And so in 82 countries of the world, I'm going back with this movement, Lead with Love, so they can come into this community and I work with them on the 8 buckets of their life.
There's many. We're not letting you go there. There's much more here. Plus, I want to bring on one of your partners, David Gilad, who also has rubbed elbows with some pretty big names. We'll tell you that coming up in a minute. And also talk about. I swear, I think because of my mindset, there's a miracle happens to me like once a month in business, and I think it's just because of the way I think about it. Like, there's no way this could be happening.
Like manifesting it?
Listen, I'm not a kumbaya. I'm not putting my crystals outside.
The secret, man. The secret.
At night, okay?
I'm a follower.
I'm not
of that.
kumbaya. I'm not
yeah.
drinking. I'm not drinking kombucha like James is here. But I'm telling you what, I think you're a little. Listen, if you use the word energy 3 times in a day with me, you don't work for the power company.
All right.
It's the last day.
Hurry back. We're going to start burning some sage here in studio as well. Let's go with the Big Biz Show.
Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
Are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyentgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com, 80 million TV homes strong in 175 countries thanks to BizTV, American Life Network, Bloomberg, American Forces Network. Big hello to our daytator trio over there, myself, Sully, and Mary Burt Godwin. Mike Costa, of course, recovering from his birthday week last week.
That's what it is.
A little too much Slim Jim and a little too much Funyun going on. Matt Fisch is the CEO of a company called AEye. It's really interesting. It's not the AI that you think, it's AEye. And they develop high-performance software for lidar detection and radar. So you know what lidar is?
No.
It's like radar, but lidar. It's what makes, here's a very, very basic thing that Matt taught me a long time ago. When you're driving and you have cruise control on, and it detects the car in front of you, that is a form of lidar. That's a very fundamental form and much sort of less of what these guys are doing. Matt, great to see you, man. Are you in San Diego? Are you back home in the middle of the country, or where can we find you right now?
Hey, thanks for having me on again, guys.
Sure.
Back home here in Silicon Valley. We're at the heart of the company, so good to be here.
Talk about, I gave a horrible analogy there, but your Foresight intelligent sensing platform is much different than what we talk about in the old days of just being able to, or cruise control, sensing the car in front of us. Talk about, just give us an overview of what you guys are doing, so for the people who haven't seen you before.
Yeah, exactly. Well, many people use intelligence or intelligence systems like ChatGPT. Imagine if ChatGPT could see, for example, and we give that vision to machines in essence. So, and one of the things that's pretty incredible about the product we announced earlier this year called Apollo, we can actually enable machines to see up to 1 kilometer away.
Wow.
Imagine what you could do if you could see 1 kilometer.
It's, what's interesting is if you think in terms of the history of battles and such, the minute the opposition went up 100 feet in the air, changed the entire history of the world in terms of who is winning wars and such. When you can see 1 kilometer in front of you, and this is currently, we think of radar, we think in terms of flight and such, and the advantage flight has, but we don't have that advantage on the ground until now, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, I loved your analogy about the automated cruise control. What lidar does is, in essence, combines the long range that you can see in a radar solution, but also gives you the crispness of vision like a camera. So it combines the best of both worlds, and it allows you to not only see far, but know exactly what the heck you're looking at. Is it a tire in the road or something else?
Is this what Waymos use and non or driverless cars are using these?
You can definitely see lidar systems on the roof of the Waymo.
Yeah.
Looks like a little police light on the top. Absolutely, that's lidar in action.
Wow.
What if you talk about your basic business structure and who your basic client is and who you're reaching out, talk about that for us for a little bit for the folks who don't know much about AI.
Right. Our primary engagement is with the automotive industry. I think it was a great call out with regards to Waymo as an example. But lidar brings the ability for the first time in many, many years to, at a reasonable cost, affordable cost, to give the vehicles that we drive every day on the street the added safety of being able to see that far. By the way, lidar sees at night. It's not affected by sunlight, so it allows us to first and foremost improve the safety of the cars that you and I drive every day. And then the second step beyond that is what we call hands-off and eyes-off driving, which is work in progress. Waymo is a great example of where that you can see that in action, but we see that technology coming to vehicles more broadly in everyday use. So automotive is a key target for us, but there are lots of other cases, traffic intersections, so we reduce the number of pedestrian and vehicle interactions and incidents, commercial vehicles and trucking. It's important to see far because the stopping distance is great, trains. There are military and defense applications as well.
Talk about some of your collaborations and such. You have some deals that are working, some that have been working for a little while now, and now are coming to fruition. Talk about that.
Yeah, the big one, obviously, we announced over the summer with Nvidia.
Yeah.
And they're really working with them has allowed us to greatly expand our reach into the ecosystem. And recently, also over the summer, we signed partnerships with a number of companies, Blue Band, FlashEye, Black Sesame. All of these guys are providing that software glue, if you will, between the artificial intelligence and our vision power to give us access to different markets, automotive being one of them. We know Nvidia has a big presence there, but in other applications as well. It's important to have different partners that have the right software to allow you to connect into different pieces of the infrastructure.
Well, Matt, for you, it just translates to Optus and Apollo global sales. Really, I mean, is that what it comes down to? It's a revenue stream and a big one.
Exactly. We've seen a huge spike in interest, as we mentioned in our earnings call about a week and a half ago. We've got 12 signed contracts now, a big jump since Q2, a lot more in the pipe. So folks are real excited about giving vision to machines, and that's showing in a strong customer pipeline for us.
You know, your earnings release, it came out just last week. Really good stuff in terms of doubling your customers since the second quarter and getting investor confidence, looking at share and market cap. Let's talk about manufacturing though, because that's a big piece of this thing, because you've expanded manufacturing capacity, and that has been obviously post-COVID the biggest concern of all companies in terms of supply chain and such. You guys seem to have slayed that dragon a bit. It looks like it's all good news in that department, correct?
Absolutely. We did announce an expansion of our partnership with our tier 1 manufacturer, Lidar. They're an automotive qualified partner, and we did expand the capacity of our production line to be able to produce up to 60,000 units to sort of keep pace or keep ahead of that demand we see incoming. The great thing about Lidar, seasoned global automotive partner, they check all the boxes for the strict automotive requirements. And not only that, but they're very resilient. They can move manufacturing to fit the evolving geopolitical situation. Great partnership.
Well, Matt, it's always great to have you on. When next time you're in San Diego here this year, I want you in studio. And of course, we're going to see more of Matt coming up in the new year here. But buddy, great stuff. Stock symbol LIDR. AEye is the company. AEYE is how you spell that. You can go to AEYE.ai. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Stand by. Listen, baby.
Hey, what?
Oh. It is the Big Biz Show. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. We're really appreciative of the fact you're along for the ride. The Day Trader Trio always is along for the ride, as is Maribert Godwin and Sully. How did you talk David Garofalo, my favorite mineral guest, to coming back? He is so busy, and he's also the CEO and chairman of a company called Gold Royalty Corp. On the New York Stock Exchange. Their stock symbol is GROY, but you must have. He literally is one of my favorite guests, and I know he got so darn busy because of all the things going on with the popularity of gold that we thought we'd beg you to.
Well, truth be told, I called him. I said, "Hey, can you just send me some gold?" And he's all.
No, I'll just come on the air instead.
Who is this? Yeah.
David, great to see you again, man. How are you?
Gold.
Good. Listen. The best thing about David is he tells us something's going to happen in the market, and then it happens later.
Boom.
That doesn't happen often in this business, but I'll tell you, we've got this surge in market optimism, which is usually counterintuitive to gold. But I'll tell you what, it seems like gold is not paying attention to anything right now other than moving in the right direction. Talk about what you guys do and talk about what's happening with gold overall.
Sure. Well, as far as gold overall goes, I mean, this is a long-dated play. This trade's been happening for 50 years. As long as the U.S. dollar has been debased and abandoned the gold standard, the value of the U.S. dollar has gone down and the value of gold's gone up. It's scarce. All hard assets have gone up. We've been in an inflationary cycle for 50 years, and gold is just an accurate barometer of that. And what we do in the royalty business is take a piece of the action at each and every mine site that we provide capital to. We take a piece of the gross revenue, and we're completely insulated from inflation that the operators are experiencing at the mine site, and we get the benefit of their exploration upside as they drill their deposits out. Our royalties extend to any growth that they achieve geologically on their deposits.
David, much like exploring space, it's so infinite, we'll never be able to, I think, in how many lifetimes say, oh yeah, we've got space covered. As far as the earth and gold, has it been pretty much, I mean, you pretty much now know where the deposits are? Are there still some places where you're like, I don't know, there might be gold there?
Yeah, no, I think the latter. The reality, though, is the sector has actually been starved of capital, believe it or not, for about 15 years, particularly the juniors that conduct all the heavy exploration. They're the ones that do it. It's not the established producers. They haven't had access to equity markets for at least a decade and a half. And as a result, the industry has actually seen their reserves in the ground shrink. Those are defined reserves. So the industry is cannibalizing itself. All the producers are merging with each other because if you're not finding it in the ground, you're going to have to replace it through consolidation, through M&A. And so that's really what's been happening in the sector. But that's a zero-sum game. If you think about it, when you cannibalize each other, you're not growing the pie at all. You're just depleting the pie more aggressively. And that means reserves are going down. There's been a remarkable inelasticity of supply and reserves to the increase in the gold price. So you're not going to see a supply side response. That's going to add fuel to the fire in terms of how the gold price is going to behave from here on in.
You know, it's interesting because the reason you want to listen to David on not only his articulate is because he's in the gold royalty business. It is the highest part of the chain in the gold business. They're basically the finance companies for gold mines. So basically, it's a top-down mining industry sort of thing, and he's got to take a 50,000-foot view, not just a mining and mining tailings view or a manufacturing view. It's the whole thing. Talk about exactly what you guys are doing, because it's really interesting as a company what Gold Royalties does, because you're really at the tip of the spear, even more than miners are.
Yeah, we're like a bank, but we're singularly focused on the gold business. So we're providing capital to the explorers, the developers, and operators who otherwise can't access capital for a variety of reasons. And what we get in return is a royalty on their property, basically a gross revenue royalty. That, again, protects us entirely from operating costs and any capital costs at the mine site. So we're protected from inflation. So we provide unmitigated leverage to the gold price and unmitigated leverage to the exploration success of our operating partners, because as they conduct exploration on their properties, what they're incentivized to do to extend mine lives, to expand the production profile, we get the full benefit of that without actually having to contribute anything to their additional capital requirements.
Hey, David, you know, when you hear gold, you can't help but hear the word inflation. And because gold is a hedge against inflation, sometimes it is. But you and I talked about a year and a half ago when we first met through our good friend Trey Wasser through AEye Gold Royalties, who is a regular on this program and still a good friend. You mentioned that inflation is understated and interest rates are deeply different than what we think. Do you still feel that way at this point?
I do. I mean, is anybody experiencing single-digit or 2 or 3% inflation in their daily lives? I know I'm not.
We just talked to Patrick DeHaan from GasBuddy.com, and we're here in the West Coast. We're used to $4.50, 60-cent gas. And when you and I started talking about this, we were getting used to $3 gas, if you think about it. So, and although we always say the economy was turned off like a light switch and is going to come back like a sunrise, even though there's some rate cuts coming on, nobody's feeling this yet, correct?
No, that's exactly right. And another way to express this is, what about the purchasing power of your dollar? What's happened to that? You know, over 50 years since we abandoned the gold standard in the early 1970s, the dollar in 1971 is worth 1 cent today. In other words, we've lost 99% of our purchasing power, and that's irreversible. And it is irreversible because the central banks and the U.S. government in particular, they're going to have to continue to print money to get rid of the debt that they strapped on. There's no conceivable and fiscally responsible way for them to repay the debt. So when you look at things like the big, beautiful bill, and I'm not trying to be political here, I'm just saying that's going to be hugely inflationary. There's going to be a significant amount of gas put on the fire in terms of driving down the purchasing power of our U.S. dollars.
What's interesting to me here is sort of how you stand out of all, what is it now, 265 or 260 gold royalty companies. You guys are really different. Talk about the difference between you and some other folks out there.
Yeah, so we have over 250 royalties in their portfolio with a heavy concentration in 3 of the 5 best jurisdictions in the world, Nevada, Quebec, and Ontario. Over 80% of our portfolio in those low political risk, highly geologically prospective jurisdictions as well. We have 360% growth from our portfolio over the next 5 years in the gold attributable to our royalties. So that's just the volume, not counting the increases in the gold price. That means we're going to see our EBITDA grow from about $15 to $20 million to tenfold over the next 5 years from the existing portfolio of assets. All of our royalties are bought and paid for, so that means all of that growth is organic with no additional capital required from our shareholders. So we're going to generate massive amounts of free cash flow in the next 5 years and talk about increasing and introducing dividends to our shareholders to reflect that significant growth. And it's on 3 of the 5 biggest producing gold mines in North America. So yes, we have a lot of royalties, we have a lot of diversification in the portfolio, but we also have a foundational element to our portfolio with royalties on 3 of the 5 biggest producing gold mines with the longest lives in North America, with some of the biggest and best capitalized producers in the space.
Hey, I don't care how busy you are, you can't get out this time. We're not letting you away. We need you on a regular basis, man. I got to tell you. David Garofalo, Chairman, CEO, Gold Royalty Corporation. Their ticker symbol is GROY. And why I have to say this, I don't know, but it is the end of this edition of the Big Biz Show.
Thank you for being along for the ride. We will see you next time.